Imagine your teenage daughter goes missing in a small, quiet town. You call the police, desperate for help, only to discover that the person leading the investigation has direct ties to the very last person who saw her alive. And then, without warning, the case files are sealed for 75 years like a classified government secret. This isn't a movie. This is the real-life story of 17-year-old Joanie Hall, who vanished from Warrenton, Oregon in 1983. 4 decades later, questions remain. Was Joanie the victim of a small-town conspiracy? And why was the truth hidden for so long? To understand this case, we need to start with Joanie herself. Joanie Hall was a bright, ambitious 17-year-old girl with a vibrant personality. Friends describe her as kind, free-spirited, and trustworthy. She had a small circle of close friends and a family who adored her. Warrenton, Oregon in 1983 was a small, tight-knit coastal town where everyone seemed to know everyone else. Life was simple, at least on the surface. But beneath the town's quiet charm were powerful families and small-town politics that would soon play a chilling role in Joanie's story. On the night of her disappearance, Joanie wasn't doing anything unusual. She was hanging out with friends like any other teenager. But sometime after that, she vanished, leaving behind no clear signs of what had happened. Her family immediately knew something was wrong. Joanie wasn't a runaway type. She had plans, a future, and no reason to disappear willingly. This was out of character. Something terrible had happened. The last known person to see Joanie alive was a young man around her age. First, this might seem like a simple lead. But here's where things take a dark turn. This young man was the son of a local police officer. And when Joanie's family reported her missing, the officer who took the case was his father. This meant the very person responsible for finding Joanie was investigating his own son, a direct conflict of interest that would taint the case forever. Why didn't another department step in? Why wasn't the case handed to an outside investigator? These questions still haunt Joanie's family to this day. What happened next only added to the suspicion. Key evidence was mishandled, and some of it outright vanished. Witness statements were inconsistent, yet never thoroughly followed up. And the young man, the last person to see Joanie, was interviewed by his own father behind closed doors. Imagine being Joanie's parents. Knowing something was wrong, but realizing the very system designed to protect you might actually be protecting the suspect. Just when Joanie's family thought things couldn't get any worse, something almost unbelievable happened. A judge made the shocking decision to seal Joanie's case files for 75 years. That meant no one, not Joanie's family, not journalists, not independent investigators, could access the details of her disappearance until the year 2058. Why would a missing person case be treated like a top-secret government operation? What could possibly be so sensitive that it had to be hidden for nearly a century? This decision destroyed Joanie's family. Her parents were left in the dark, forced to live every day without knowing the truth about what happened to their daughter. The sealing of the files sparked decades of rumors and speculation. Some locals whispered about police corruption. Others believed there was a cover-up involving powerful figures in the community. And a few even suggested that Joanie had discovered something she wasn't supposed to know, and paid the ultimate price for it. As the years passed, Warrenton seemed determined to move on. But for those who knew Joanie, the pain never went away. Joanie's case became a forbidden topic, the kind of thing people only talked about in hushed tones. Anyone who tried to dig deeper often found themselves pushed away, threatened, or told to leave it alone. Over time, a pattern began to emerge. There were other cases, other strange incidents, that hinted at a deeply rooted problem within the town's leadership and law enforcement. Some believe Joanie's disappearance wasn't an isolated event, but part of a larger web of corruption and abuse of power. The question wasn't just what happened to Joanie, but how far people would go to keep the truth buried. Joanie's story might have faded into obscurity forever if not for a group of dedicated locals and online investigators. A Facebook page, Joanie Hall Missing from Warrenton, Oregon since 1983, was created by community members determined to keep her memory alive and fight for answers. This group began collecting old news articles, interviewing residents, and connecting pieces of the puzzle that law enforcement had ignored or intentionally hidden. Their efforts brought national attention to Joanie's case, sparking outrage and calls for accountability. Then, in a stunning development, the sealed case files were finally unsealed after decades of secrecy. While the full contents haven't been made public, early reports suggest there is damning evidence of misconduct, supporting what Joanie's supporters have been saying all along. There was a cover-up. With the unsealing of the files, Joanie's family and supporters finally have a chance to reopen the investigation and demand justice. But this fight isn't over. Many of the key figures involved are now retired, and some have even passed away, taking their secrets with them. Evidence may have been lost, destroyed, or deliberately hidden. Still, Joanie's case is far from cold. New technology like DNA analysis and the power of social media have given investigators tools that didn't exist in 1983. There is real hope that the truth can finally be uncovered, and that those responsible will face consequences, even after all these years. Joanie Hall was just 17 years old when she disappeared. She had dreams, a future, and a family who has never stopped loving her. For 40 years, her story has been shrouded in secrecy and corruption. But now, with renewed attention and a community determined to speak out, the walls of silence are starting to crack. Joanie deserves more than a mystery. She deserves justice. She deserves to come home. If you found this story as shocking as we did, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more true crime cases where we uncover the stories others are too afraid to tell. Your support helps bring awareness to unsolved mysteries like Joanie's.